Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Where to Start Yoga Journey. My name is Clyde Hampton, aka Champion Yogi. And welcome back to my yoga home, Yoga University. This is where I do my YTT at. This is where I teach my hot yoga classes at. So if you're trying to hang out with me, you want to come flow with me, I'm here, Altamont Springs. Pull up. Let's have some fun. What are we doing today? We are on step 3 of that float transition from down dog to the crow pose. Our crow pose. So we're floating to get those knees on top of the elbows, but we're not there today. We're only on step 3. So in today's step, we are going to make some progress moving forward through that transition. But before we do that, let's have a quick recap. Let's talk about step 1. In step 1, we really just wanted to start getting our hands down, getting a little bit of weight into the hand, and working on that chaturanga. Remember, if you didn't quite find some comfort in that chaturanga, elbow squeeze in, being able to lower yourself down under control, go back, stay there, keep working on that pose until you get some comfortability there. And once you're comfortable there, then it'll be time to start moving forward. In step 2, we brought about the fact that we're going to bring some air into it. We started to hop a little bit. We started to float a little bit. We allowed our feet to stay up under us so we can bring it down nice and comfortably and nice and safely. But we have had enough of that. Remember, if you don't feel like you can kind of hop forward and feel some control into your hands, again, stay right there in that space, keep working through that space, and when you find that control, then move forward to step 3. Step 3, we're going to get a little bit more dangerous. We're going to start to land on those knees, right? So you got to use the control in the arms, you got to use that chaturanga strength, and you got to control it all the way down. Now, I would say, since this is your first time doing this, although I did not, this is not my first time doing this. But if this is your first time doing this, make sure you have something soft to land on, right? Get you some blankets, really soft blankets, maybe pillows to support yourself as well. Allow yourself to just be in a soft space like a trampoline or something of that nature. Anything where that your knees are going to crash down and won't hurt you at all. So you can completely just drop yourself onto those knees and it's not going to give you any hurt at all. You're not going to drop yourself onto your knees. But if you do, then it won't hurt you at all, right? So we want to be safe. We want to take care of yourself, especially when you're in the beginning phase of learning something. If you feel like you got it and you feel like you're under control, do it in any space that you feel like you should. But in order to keep that safety, I would advise you to have something soft nearby to start to land on once we get to that space. Before we get to that space, let's talk about our intentions. What are our intentions today? I want you to find some control in your arms, in your float, being able to guide your knees down to the mat nice and softly, landing comfortably without getting any injuries. Okay, so I want to be able to teach you how to be safe in this transition, and so you can start using it and having fun in just one more step. But before we get to that last step, let's wrap up step 3. So come on down to the mat. So once you're down onto the mat, we're going to find our tabletop position. Remember, the wrists are super mega important in this, so you want to start to warm up the wrists in all the ways. If you prefer this way with the palms together, rolling your hands around and the wrists around, feel free to do that. Have that. Don't take that away from yourself. If you love it, if it's good for you and it's working for you, keep it warm up in this way. If you want to start with some tabletop and just rolling the shoulders over the wrists and starting to let them spread out a little bit, spreading the fingers out a little bit, finding that comfortable space there, feel free to do that. Remember, you can always turn the hands around as well, get some more space here. You can go left and right to go side to side. Whatever you feel like your wrists need, let's make sure we warm them up very well. Also, a little bit into the arms as well. What I would suggest is a few chaturangas to child pose, right? You're going to start to wake up the arms. You're going to start to wake up the biceps. You're starting giving yourself that warmness and that strength and letting them be ready to go and support your float. But we're going back to child's pose, so we're not really going to hold on to anything for it yet until we get to that space. Again, you'll bring the hands forward, start to shift your shoulders forward, let them come over the knuckles. And then once your elbows are over your wrist, squeeze the elbows into the sides and start to lower yourself down and find that space. And then press yourself right back to that comfortable child's pose. All the way back, hips towards the heels, sink all the way in. Inhale, bring it forward, elbows in, bend and hold. Exhale, press it back, take it all the way back to the heels. Again, we're doing the chaturangas, but we're doing it with the knees down because we're just warming up the body. It's really about the arms. It's not about the full body yet. It's not about the whole engagement yet. You're also going to have a lot of core work. The core is going to allow you to control those knees and lower them down as you start to float. But as you start to float, you want to use that good control from your core muscles because that's going to make your body weight seem a lot lighter than it was when you was just using your arms, right? So having that good core control is going to be there as well. I would suggest a couple sit-ups, maybe a couple Russian twists. If you don't know Russian twists, let me give you a quick show. Just sitting here, twist, twist, taking it around. Again, just getting the core muscles to warm up so they're ready to go, ready to hold you, and ready to control you. All right, so now that we got our warm ups in the books and we got everything on the table, we're all warm. And again, don't worry about me. I'm known to skipping because one, I'm in this hot room. Two, I've been doing yoga for a little while now today, and I'm already ready to go. But I want to make sure you guys are ready as well. But it's time to hop into that float day 3. It's time to get into what we're doing here, what we're working on today, and how we're going to make this happen. Now, you can start this in one of two ways. If you really feel like you're ready, you can float forward from your downward facing dog. If you don't quite feel like you're ready to go from that high of a space yet, then allow yourself to float from your knees down position. Now, I honestly think the knees down is a little bit more challenging for me because of how to get up off of the knees. I think you have more control coming up off of your feet, but maybe you play around with both. Maybe you see which one works out better for you in the beginning. We want to first start finding that sink. So I'm going to go through the downward dog facing position first, and then I'll do the knees down second. Okay. So we'll start right here in the down dog. We're finding our nice length. We're resting into the heels. We're rolling the elbows together, rolling the belly towards the thighs, lengthening through the spine. Gaze towards your toes, nice and long. Right? And then we're just going to bend into the knees and take the knees down towards the mat, and then press back into the toes, push the heels back down, and lift the hips back up. And this is where our spring forward is going to be to start floating the knees down between the hands. Now, your full down dog is a nice distance to float, right? It's from your feet all the way to your hands. That's a nice distance. So maybe you want to take it a little bit shorter of a distance, and that's okay. If you want to do that, bring the hands back to here. And again, this is where you would start from the knee space, right? So trying to come up here, there's a little bit more of a fold. That's a lot. Maybe your hamstrings cannot tolerate that. Maybe they can't. But if they can't, you'll be coming from the knees down position, okay, if you want to come a little bit closer. All right, so from that down dog, again, we're just trying to float the knees down towards the mat. We're trying to find a nice, slow lower. And you found the control in all the other spaces that we've practiced before. So it's time to get here now. Here we go. So we're going to bend into the knees, find a little bit of float in your pop, grab, and just lower those knees down to the mat, right? So you're not floating all the way forward to the elbows yet. You can even allow your toes to touch down first before your knees actually touch down, and then that'll allow you to still have that control. But remember, you're going to engage the core muscles when you get into the air, roll the elbows together, and float yourself down. So right here, pop up, hold, and just lower all the way down to the mat. Now, finding that control, being able to land softly is what this is all about. You're going to do that for maybe 3 to 5 reps. As many sets as you want. I would suggest at least 2 rounds of that. But if you want to do 3 or 4 and you have it in you, your arms feel like they can handle it, have fun. Do your thing, right? Let's talk about it from the knees down for a second here. With the knees down, you're taking the feet back. It's a little bit harder to get that elevation. Like I said, it's a little bit harder to pop up. You got to put a little bit more speed into it as you thrust up. But again, you're trying to get the knees to go up and gently lower down. So from right here, you can just keep your knees here, sink back into the heels, press into that thrust, float up, and then lower those knees down. Remember, press into the palms, pull those elbows in, and engage those biceps to start to hold that control. Just like you would engage those biceps to start to come down to that chaturanga, same concept. Pressing into those palms, elbows in, strong biceps, lower your knees down. Let's do that one more time. Sinking the hips back into the heels, pop yourself up, slowly lower the knees down. That was a little bit high. I apologize. But you don't have to pop up that high. But that's not the point. The point is to come to that float, right? To be able to control it on the way down. Again, mats, blankets, pillows under your knees. These things can be very helpful to get you to come down, and your floats will come down a little bit quicker when you first start. Maybe they'll be more like this, and then you can slowly start to slow it down, right? You pop it up, maybe the toes come and help you support, trying to squeeze into those hands, getting it to come down, and then after a while you'll start to find it, feel it slow down a little bit, right? You feel it happening. There's a little bit of time into the air, and then eventually it'll slowly lower down. You'll be able to find the control into that space. Once you find the control into the space, it's all downhill to find that full float transition from that perspective. But you got to be able to get to the space again. So one more time, downward facing dog, sinking the hips down into the heels, knees toward the mat, press into the toes, float it up, and lower those knees all the way down to the mat. Press through those palms as you can, squeeze the elbows in, find that comfortable space, hold it in place, and sink all the way down to the mat. You can do this. I know you can. You guys have been doing great so far, and it's just a little bit left. You're making a lot of progress. It's getting more challenging, and it's always going to get more challenging as we push forward to the next phase. But if you've been practicing stage one, you've been practicing stage two, you're absolutely ready for this. And if you're getting all the way into it and you feel like today is the day, you want to go ahead and try to land on those elbows, feel free, go ahead and do that. But if it doesn't work out, meet me back here for step four. I want to thank you guys for being here today. If I did not say something that resonated with you, that helped you, that pushed you forward into getting into this space, send me a message on Instagram, TikTok. I'm everywhere. c.hamp.ionyogi. Feel free to message me, ask me questions. Let's book a private session maybe. Let's come to some classes. Let's start to work on these things together so you can start to feel comfortable in your practice. You can start to add things like this to your practice, and you can get open in your creativity and have a little bit more fun with your yoga journey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm about to start a hot yoga class in about 15 minutes. You guys go Altamont Springs. I'm here. Come join me. Have fun. Ocean Wave, where we learn all these things, right? So I'll see you guys soon. We'll be back here for step four. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great day.